So I don't want to go on to a third video, so I'll try and keep this a bit more concise. So that was the weddings and engagements that are celebrated. And so I didn't want to do this in order of days, but in order of things that were celebrated. So on April the 30th, the first thing that would happen is ribbons tied in the tree, which is something you could do today, actually, as one of your modern celebrations. Excuse me. And no, don't come down here, darling. No. Excuse me. That was a bulldog insisting on doing what she wants to do. We will talk a bit more about bulldogs on a further video. Anywho, you've got me back now, and hopefully she'll go back down to daddy. So ribbons. You would write on the ribbon your aspiration, your dream, or for young maidens, the one that they wanted to find in the woods that night. Hang it on trees, and most especially, if I can find the thing I've got here, hawthorn, ash, thorn, which I assume would be like rose bushes, and sycamore. Not sure why, haven't got time to find out, but that could be something for you to have a look at. Why those trees? So another thing that would happen if the young woman came back without flowers and without a betrothal, it would mean that she banged someone, and if there's no boy that comes back with her, then it had to have been one of the gods, because the gods were known to enjoy the company of young maidens. So the boys would then go out with masks on, pretending to be these gods. Do you know what I mean? So we're looking at Cernunnos being the Celtic god, but Belenus probably not so much, because he was more of a out there god, you know, kind of like he stayed in Tuatha De Danann, I believe is the name of it, whereas Cernunnos was always in among people, you know. Pan, I believe, is one of the Roman gods. Correct me if I am wrong. Other deities connected with it would be Loki, of course, Frey. The Roman equivalent is Apollo, and I thought perhaps Balder, because of the bell sound, Balder. You know, and Balder is also known as the Shining One. And the Gallic name of the sun god would be Tutorix. So I thought that was quite interesting. Anyway, so yeah, so they're off doing all that. So if they came back without that, the village would take care of the child, and the woman would then have a much higher bride price because she had the child of a god, you know, which I thought was quite interesting. So things to pop on your altar. I've got written here a phallic symbol, wildflowers, any fire correspondences, green leaves, any of these trees, hawthorn, ash, thorn, sycamore, lilies, lilacs, any of that. Other things you might see in the modern day is tractor runs. You get a lot of tractor runs in April and May. Now, they're annoying when you're a driver on the road trying to get past all the tractors, but as a person looking on, I can't think of the word, they're really fun. I love it, especially all the old sort of steam-powered tractors. So they're, in essence, celebrating the last planting as we've done for thousands of years, you know. It's really interesting, I think, that. You also see a lot of sort of May Day celebrations with maypole dancing. Now, that would take place on May the 1st. So when all the kids came back, the following day, there would be big celebrations, the cattle going through the fires, of course, big feasting, merriment, engagements, of course, and part of the engagement was discussing the bride price. My daughter's family in Nigeria was involved in a traditional wedding, and they still do that. They discuss what is going to be given to the bride's family in exchange for taking away their daughter, you know. And she said it was quite fascinating. Do you know what I mean? So, of course, all of that had to take place because a lot of these kids were already, boys and girls, are already saying, find me, you know, I'm going to be under such and such a tree. So they kind of already knew. They were kind of already betrothed, you know. But, of course, the families had to settle up, you know, because one family was losing a pair of hands to help the family, to cook, to clean, etc., because the girl would go and live with the boy's family. You know, so obviously there's now a game of play going on because the other dogs come upstairs. So this might not be a great idea, but we'll see how it goes. I'll carry on. Try and ignore these two, you know. So yeah, lots of interesting traditional celebrations that still take place today all over the world in different cultures. And speaking of that, and I'm just going to quickly go through here to make sure I've done everything. Yeah, so you know, the maypole dancing, unwinding of marriages. Yes, I think I've done all of that. I didn't write it very well. I'm getting back on the horse, as it were. So I'm going to pick this phone up because otherwise I probably want to see him, don't you? So yeah, this is a game of bitey face, and yeah, this is how bullies fight. Yeah, I know it sounds nasty, but they're not hurting each other. They're just playing. So, to me, yeah. So, around the world, a lot of different celebrations take place in May. So, Cinco de Mayo, which I've heard of, is a Mexican celebration celebrating victory over France. So, it's not so much a pagan celebration, but I thought it was also interesting that it takes place in May. The Mother Goose Day, which is celebrating in Scandinavia, Iceland, etc., which is now evolved into Mother's Day, which is celebrated on the second Sunday of May, because everywhere but the UK celebrates Mother's Day on that weekend. We don't. We celebrate around Ostara, which I think is interesting. Anyway, the Eastern Orthodox Church celebrates Easter, and which is 40 days from Easter, which is around May the 5th, Cinco de Mayo. When Jesus ascended up to heaven, you know, because under the Eastern Orthodox Church, he stayed on earth for another 40 days, unlike in the Western Orthodox Church, where he stayed for 3 days, Good Friday to Easter Sunday. All of May in Christianity is dedicated to the Blessed Virgin, so again, a lot of fertility involved there. In Islam, they follow a lunar cycle, I found, when I was doing a little bit of investigation. They don't have anything specifically in May, but it's the interim period after the end of Ramadan, which is around April 6th, and it's followed by, and I am definitely going to pronounce this wrong, and I apologise to any Muslims out there for that, Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. So Eid al-Fitr is the end of Ramadan, and Eid al-Adha, which starts on June 16th, is the start of another celebration, another thing that they celebrate. So not a lot in May for the Muslims. So in the Old Norse, they celebrate Walpurgisnacht, which is May Eve, which is April the 30th, which is Frey and Freya, and the Fae, of course, or the Vanir, as they call it in the Old Norse tradition. But also on the first day of Harper, which is the first summer month in the Old Norse calendar, which is around mid-April, they have Sigablot. And again, that is a celebration of the start of summer. So in essence, that is what we're celebrating right now. And right now, it doesn't really feel like it. It was like a week ago. I was coming back from an event, and they were salt spreading because it was still getting frosty overnight. So I'll be honest, it doesn't feel like Beltane's come around yet because it's not warmed up. You know, we normally have that just sudden change in the weather in sort of May coming into June, and we just haven't had that yet. So personally, I'm not celebrating Beltane yet because I don't feel like the energy is quite there. And you know, I always say this is your path for you to follow the way you see fit. So I hope the information I've given you is useful in some way. So Beltane, essentially April the 30th in the evening, not the whole day, the evening of April 30th through till May the 2nd is a celebration of male fertility, weddings and engagements, the last planting, and the deities are fertility and sun gods that are celebrated. So thank you for listening, and I will try and keep up with these videos a bit more. Lots of love to you all.